Greetings once again, Sonic Heroes, Duuz-Diz-Din back again with Sonic the Hedgehog by IDW. Now previously, Knuckles has found himself in a bit of a pickle. The Babylon rogues invaded Angel Island, going after the relics that Amy had just gone through the trouble of returning to Knuckles. And, well, since Amy had been very forward about Knuckles getting some outside help when he really needed it, Knuckles decided to enlist the help of the Chaotix as their detective, and they're on your side. Well, you want them on your side. And who better to track down a band of thieves? And while they do immediately go to Eggman because most things lead back to Eggman, that's a bit of a wild goose chase. They do manage to track down the Babylon rogues, waiting at the pier for their buyer. But who is after this relic, and why? Well, Knuckles and the Chaotix might just stop anything from happening before it even begins. But is that what they really want? After all, why not nip this problem in the bud? And speaking of problem, the Chaotix are actually supposed to have a dinner date with Vanilla and Cream, who are prepping things back at their house. But Vanilla, well, she's missing some butter, so she has to run to the store very quickly. And, well, Cream is with General, so everything should be fine. That is until a wayward rough and tumble find themselves doing a little bit of B&E, looking for some valuables to sell. And while initially they mostly get the end of General's fists, their rough and tumble antics lead to Cream accidentally setting the food ablaze. Will Cream and Vanilla's house go up in flames before the Chaotix can arrive? Or will dinner be saved just in the nick of time? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, a nice simple cover. I mean, what's more straightforward than Knuckles, the Chaotix, and Jet? Alright, you have two different stories, and again, I really do like them deciding to do it like this. Splitting the stories up like this feels a little bit more natural and takes a page out of the Archie book. Two stories for the price of one. Well, two halves of one story. We have Relic Robbing Rumble Part 2, with a story by Ian Flynn, pencils by Mauro Fonseca. I always feel like I'm messing up that name. Inks by Rick Mack, colors by my man Reggie Graham, and then Dinner at Cream's Part 2, with the story by Evan Stanley, art by Adam Bryce Thomas, colors by Valentina Piento, letters by Sean Lee, editor David Marriott, and production Johanna Natali. Let's go. And then we have the roll call. Knuckles the Echidna, Guardian of the Master Emerald, Angel Island Protector. The Babylon Rogues, Legendary Thieves and Mercenaries for Hire. The Team Chaotix, Ace Detectives, Chaotix Detective Agency. Cream the Rabbit, Compassionate Heroine, the cutest thing alive. I really do hope that tag sticks. Cheese and Chocola, Excitable Chow, Tiny Sidekicks. Honestly, this is one of the few times Chocola really ever gets any mention. Vanilla the Rabbit, Loving Mother, Restoration Ally. General Reformed Robot, Cream's Protector. And that's it. Okay, let's do it. Alright, we pick up with Knuckles peeking out from the alley. He whispers to the Chaotix. 3, 2, 1. And then they all rush out with Knuckles shouting, "Get him!" with them catching the rogues unaware. I love the shot of Wave just falling off of the edge of the railing. Naturally, Jet shouts to the rogues, "Scatter! Beat feet, boys!" And naturally, they all grab for their boards, although Storm, who has the relics, is the most taken off guard. Since Jet and Wave are already on their boards, they reach for the relics, with Jet shouting out, "Split up the loot! Storm, toss us the relics and hold them off." Wave says, "There's no way they can catch us all." It's a good plan. And it's one of those things that really show the teamwork of the rogue. Save what you can, nothing's more important than the job. So before Knuckles and the Chaotix can get to Storm, he chucks the relics up in the air. Storm then turns to grapple with Knuckles. I do love this rivalry. It's also funny because the rogues were kind of the adversaries in the summer issue, so nice little moment with getting us more rogues. we see that Wave has managed to catch one of the relics, and as I think I see Jet going for another one, Charmy manages to grab it first, saying, "Gotcha!" with an angry Jet yelling out, "Hey!" As Charmy flies off with the relic, he shouts, "I got it! I got it!" But Jet is on his heels, shouting out, "I won't let you steal from me, brat!" Charmy then comes to the realization, steal? That's what bad guys do. He then stops and hands over the relic to Jet, saying, "I'm sorry," much to Espio's dismay. I will admit, at least it's a very nice gesture. Makes me think of the Owl House, where they were trying to teach this one kid a lesson, and he takes it to heart, and he tries to befriend another bad guy, and it's just like, no. The situation is much more complicated than that. Espio goes diving for Charmy, shouting out to him, and as Jet flies away with the relic Charmy handed over, Espio has managed to stick to the underside of Jet's board. Jet tries his best to shake Espio off, saying, "No hitchhikers," but Espio, and his ever-sticky abilities, tells Jet, "Can you handle heavy turbulence?" Ooh. And Jet and Espio on the board just go spinning. It must be Espio using his one ability, because I see his fingers up in the ninja pose, so he must be using his special whirlwind technique. Ooh, okay. I couldn't make it out at first, but we see them go spiraling into the water, where I'm pretty sure Vector is kind of submerged. You really have to look at the panels to get the gist of what's happening here. Not saying that it's overly complicated, but it feels like it's easy to miss something if you're not paying much attention. Charmy sees this and calls out, "Oh no, Espio!" Meanwhile, as Wave flies over, she calls out for Jet, not noticing that Vector's in the water underneath her, until it's too late, as Vector comes out, bites the back of Wave's board, stopping her short and sending her flying off of her board. Oh, no, she's still on her board. It just jostled her a little as she manages to hold on to the front of her board and flies up, bringing Vector along with her. She shouts back at him, "Get your filthy mouth off my extreme gear." And Vector says, "Bring you in." "I'ma bring you in?" Is that what he's saying? Meanwhile, back at the pier, Storm is running the ones with Knuckles, just heavy swing. Knuckles dodges, but Storm is ready to go in for another punch, saying, "In the air, on the ground, don't matter. You can't beat me." He manages to deliver a punch to Knuckles, but Knuckles manages to block it with his fists. And Knuckles then smiles, saying, "Then how about in the water?" Ooh, and he delivers a fiery down punch to the pier, destroying it, knocking Storm off balance. Ooh, but Storm manages to, keep from falling into the water by holding onto his board. As Knuckles straddles one of the posts from the destroyed pier, he calls out, "Let's wrap it up, Chaotix." It's so nice to see Knuckles, teaming up with the Chaotix. If you were a fan of the Archie days, this just feels so natural. Meanwhile, as Vector's still holding on to Wave's board, he says, "How's the balance of this thing? Want to stress test it?" Ooh, Wave panics as she tries to push Vector back, saying, Okay, I'll land." Yeah, Wave's tough, but I don't think she could really take on Vector. Meanwhile, as Jet has come out of the water with Espio, both of them waterlogged, Charmy flies over, saying, "Can I have the relic now, please?" Jet just hands it over, saying, "Yes, fine. Just take it." Knuckles waits on the pier as Charmy flies over with one relic. Vector comes over riding on Wave's board with the other relic, with her on the back, very angry. Storm is hanging off the broken side of the pier while Jet and Espio kick back to the pier. The rogues sit off in the corner. Wave eyeing her board angrily, saying he left bite marks on my gear. Storm then picks Jet out of the water, saying, "Sorry, boss." And Jet just kind of dismisses it, trying to wring out his hair, saying, "Don't talk to me right now." Vector then confronts Jet, telling him, "And how about you talk to me? Who hired you to steal those relics from Angel Island?" Jet continues to wring out his hair, or I guess I should say feathers, now that I think about it. And Jet dismissively says, "Who says anybody hired us, huh? Maybe we did it for ourselves." Vector cracks his knuckles and gives a sinister grin, saying, "Not gonna cooperate, huh? Maybe we'll just take this as evidence." As Espio holds up Jet's bored with Charmy ready to punch it. Jet's reaching over the panel, panicking, saying, okay, I'll talk. Much to the dismay of Storm and Wave. As Jet wrestles the board from Espio's hands, he says, the guy never used a name. He called us. We get paid, and a story. Knuckles proceeds to walk off with the relic, saying, whatever, we're done here. Vector turns to him, saying, you sure? Knuckles gives a smile, saying, I've got the relics back. That's what's important. I'm good with that. Yeah, naturally simple Knuckles. Though I can't blame him. He knows that stuff on Angel Island is valuable. He got some of that stuff back. That's all he's worried about. But let's face it, if somebody was on, say, Angel Island right now taking stuff, Knuckles be none the wiser. That's the thing about being the only person guarding a whole entire island. What's to alert him something else isn't being taken? Suddenly, Storm pushes past Jet, saying, yeah, you just don't want a round two. You know I'd win. Obviously incensed, Knuckles hands the relics over to Vector, saying, I will take you down anytime, anywhere. I kinda love this. They just start squaring up, with Storm holding out his hand, saying, how about here and now? Knuckles says, bring it. Ah, man. Simple creatures. Oh, come on. Dang it. Man, Storm facing off with Knuckles is like the only time Storm is really relevant in any meaningful way. And it's the most articulate that Storm usually is when he's facing off against Knuckles. But we see Jet and Wave hold him back, with Jet saying, no. Wave tells him, I have gear to repair and circuits to dry. With Storm panicking, saying, oh, but. And Knuckles is a little dismayed, saying, well. Meanwhile, Vector, still holding the relic, says, so, our motto is never turn down work that pays. You are gonna pay us, right? Does Knuckles have any concept of money? Knuckles then thinks for a moment and says, oh yeah? Well, a lot of fruits are in season, and I can forage Mushroom Hill. How's that sound? Espio comforts a dismayed Vector as he says, free groceries are savings in the long run. A tearing up Vector says, I guess. Hey, he has a point. So as the rogues fly up to their blimp, Vector realizes something, saying, wait, food, dinner, what time is it? He shoves the relics over to Knuckles, saying, I gotta go. We'll settle up between us later. And as the Chaotix rush off, Charmy says, oh yeah, dinner at Vanilla's house. Whee! Vector turns to him, saying, she invited you too? Espio tells him, we were all invited. And Vector says, what? Yeah, Vector, it wasn't a date night. As Knuckles stands in the pier in the moonlight, he smiles, saying, weirdo, good guys, but still. He turns, saying, mission accomplished. So, how do I get home? Yeah, it's like, how are you gonna carry those things? We then cut aboard the Babylon Rogue's blimp with a wrapped up Jet sitting in his chair in his office, with Storm leaning over Jet's desk, saying, who you calling, boss? Jet's dialing into a cell phone, saying, our contact, duh. Storm says, but you told the Chaotix. Jet turns to him incensed, saying, I lied. Storm smiles big, saying, ooh, you're so smart, boss. Jet then waves Storm out of the room, saying, yeah, sure, thanks. Now get out of here while I make the call. The contact answers the phone, saying, hello? Jet says, yo, it's me. I've got bad news. Jet starts pinching at the bridge of his nose, saying, we got pinched by the Chaotix. We lost the relics and the fight. We can't do the handoff tonight. He then bangs his hand on the table, saying, but once the relics get put back, we'll keep that dumb guardian distracted, steal him again, but the contact says, that won't be necessary. Jet's confused, saying, what do you mean? The contact says, all of this was carefully orchestrated to ensure certain parties were preoccupied while I conducted my business. As far as I'm concerned, my needs have been met. Okay. Ooh, I like that. That's a Xanatos gambit if I ever heard one. And sure enough, Jet yells at Clutch on the other end of the line, saying, you use me? Clutch says, you will be fairly compensated for services rendered. Good night. Oh, We then see Clutch enter the office of Jewel, who questions, is everything alright? Clutch says, yes, please forgive my rudeness for taking a work call while we're conducting business. Jewel smiles saying, it's fine. Your services must be in high demand, so I imagine everyone is trying to reach you. And as Clutch and Jewel shake hands, Clutch says, well, as per tonight's agreement, Clean Sweep Inc. will give you our undivided attention. Jewel says, here's to a prosperous and productive partnership. Okay, interesting. Clutch is up to something big. Really? So with Mimic's infiltration and now a partnership with Clutch? And we know that somewhere down the line Surge and Kit join the Restoration. What is this devious possum up to? Interesting. Right, on to the second story. We pick up over at Cream and Vanilla's house with the stove ablaze, Cream in tears, looking like a deer in the headlight, Cheese and Chocola panicking. And as Cream looks on at the fire, she says, oh no, not noticing Ruff coming up behind her looking to grab her, while General tangles with Tumble. Meanwhile, Cream, she gets her determination up. She dodges Ruff trying to grab her and puts a pot lid over the fire. Yeah, cream of action. Much more delicious than cream of wheat. Cheese then turns off the stove and, well, Cheese then begins to console Cream as she's utterly dismayed, saying, it's all ruined. Meanwhile, General then finds himself tangling with Ruff, saying, I am sorry, these intruders are proving to be difficult. Tumble then goes for the dessert, saying, oh, you haven't seen difficult yet. He then shouts, y'all come eat, as he slams one of the jellos over General's head. Ruff then grabs the salad and hors d'oeuvres, saying, don't be shy, there's plenty for second. And they just start pelting General with food as Cream calls out for General. Cream then starts swinging her hands at Tumble's legs, saying, our house, mother's dishes, you mean rude, unkind people. Tumble stops as he was about to throw another dessert, looking down at Cream going, eh? And as Ruff holds General in a full Nelson, Cheese and Chocola can only look on in shock as Tumble holds Cream aloft by the back of her dress, saying, all right, a hostage. Tumble then turns to General, saying, listen up, robot. If you try anything, it'll be the girl who will pay for it. But he doesn't notice Cheese and Chocola rushing in behind him. They grab the dessert that Tumble was holding and slam it on his head, causing him to drop Cream. Meanwhile, the subdued General activates his boosters, allowing him to gain the momentum to flip Ruff off of him. General then helps Cream up, saying, perhaps I did not make myself clear before. You are not welcome here. Ruff cracks his knuckles, saying, forget the Robin. We're just gonna pound ya. And then it's a face-off. Ruff and Tumble versus General and Cream. But suddenly the timer goes off as Cream turns, saying, the roast. Cream then takes a moment to get the roast out of the oven, while Tumble scratches his head, saying, so are we still fighting, or? Ruff says, I sure am, as he and Tumble square off against General, Cheese, and Chocola. But then a delighted Cream shows off the roast, saying, it's perfect. Oh my god. Okay, that's just mean. As Tumble just steps right on the roast. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is the most... just the horrified look on Cream's face. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for her. This poor baby. The bug-eyed expressions on Cream and Cheese and Chocola's face. Oh my... I can't get it. That is such a me-worthy moment. And as Cream wells up with tears, she starts crying. And Tumble says, uh-oh, as both he and Ruff look on in dismay. General and Cheese and Chocola go to console Cream, who cries out, it's not fair. I did everything right, but it still didn't work. General consoles her, saying, it is good to cry. Remove the excess stress from your system. Very true. As Ruff and Tumble just aren't really sure what to do right now. Enter Vanilla, who says, I'm back, how are things going? Only for the expressions in this issue are perfection, as Vanilla comes to a dead stop as she sees the look of utter calamity going on in her kitchen. A very incensed looking Vanilla says, Cream dear, I seem to have missed a few things. Cream then points to a very bewildered Rough and Tumble as she cries, the mean man broke in and... Vanilla calmly says, I'll handle this. She then confronts Rough and Tumble as she says, so, you think it's okay to break into other people's home? Rough and Tumble are on their knees saying, no. Vanilla then says, to ruin other people's hard work? Rough and Tumble say, no. Vanilla asks, to attack children? Rough and Tumble beg, saying, we're sorry. Enter the Chaotix, with Vector saying, sorry we're late. Knuckles needed some help and it turned into this whole thing. I swear that look on Vanilla's face is haunting. Vector then sees Rough and Tumble and says, you guys, stand back, they're trouble. Vanilla turns calmly saying, oh, that's quite alright. I think they've learned their lesson. Rough says, no more crime for us today, honest. Vector sighs saying, oh, phew. SVO says, indeed, after the day we had, we are in no condition to fight. Charmy cheers saying, yeah, we're pooped. Vanilla then goes over to console Cream, who says, I'm sorry, Mama, I can do what you ask. Vanilla smiles saying, no dear, you were very brave and you did your best. That's always worth being proud of. Aw, and then they hug. Feel good moment. And as Cream and Vanilla hold hands, Cream asks, but what are we going to do for dinner? Vanilla thinks going, and it looks like they got takeout. Yeah, Vanilla says, who wants takeout? And a nice spread of them all eating Chinese food. Well, not general. Vector says, this is great. Thanks, Vanilla. And Vanilla says, it's not perfect, but sometimes that's better. As she feeds Vector some food. God, I want Chinese food now. And then, next time, Surgeon Kit, good guys? Dun dun dun. See, my real question is it that they're working for Clutch? This was a lot of fun. It really was. Very simple. Minor stakes. Babylon Rogues, Rough and Tumble, they're not the biggest of enemies. Low stakes villains that you can fight, have a bit of an issue with, deal with all in the same moment. They could get the upper hand on you, you get the upper hand on them. It could go either way. But nice, easy to deal with moment. Which story did I like better? It's really hard to say, as each one had their high point. Some of my favorite moments in the old Archie comic, both pre and post the Genesis Wave reboot, whatever you want to call it, was usually the stuff where characters you don't normally see together too often are together. Knuckles teaming up with the Chaotix to fight the Babylon Rogues, that's fun and interesting. Cream and Gemerald and Cheese taking on Rough and Tumble, that's interesting to me. It's kind of stuff that you used to see in the Sonic Universe comics. The main book would focus on Sonic himself and whatever he was doing, and then you'd have Sonic Universe to focus on what's going on in the universe of Sonic. And I still kind of wish we had that stuff, because it was a good way of making sure that, you had Sonic constantly in something running, but then you could also have other characters have their moment to shine, without being beholden to quickly getting Sonic back in the story. No, you don't have to do something like that. I'm not saying that. You don't always have to have Sonic as the main character. And honestly speaking, some of my favorite Sonic stories are the ones that he's just a small part of something bigger. The Sonic comics are such a great way of getting a lot of the other Sonic characters who are so usually not highlighted a chance in the spotlight. I mean, time of recording, Sonic Dream Team has been announced, and for the first time in what has been 20 years, Cream is playable in a game, and at the very least is one of the major factors in the plot for a story outside of the comics. And I think that's why Sega has been bringing in the likes of Ian Flynn and Evan Stanley to help out with some of their stories, because Ian's involved with that game too. To a bit of a lesser extent. If you listen to the Bumblecast stuff, you know that he was kind of brought in after the fact to help spruce up some of the storylines and stuff like that. But they recognize that some of the best and most consistent stuff coming out of Sonic has honestly been the comics. For a little over 15 years now, the comics have been the most consistent part of Sonic. Not always the best, but usually something you could turn to when the games didn't always have a lot going on. And, I love that. And you see that here. Knuckles, the Chaotix, Cream, Vanilla, Gemerald, characters that don't get a lot of highlight. Babylon Rogues, geez, when have the Babylon Rogues actually been relevant in something? Shoot. Just because Sonic Free Riders didn't do great, I wish they would make another Sonic Riders game, honestly. And while I'm glad to get back to a more focused storyline with the arrival of Surge and Kit to the Restoration, I wouldn't mind more consistently having side stories where we could see what some of the other characters are off doing. I mean, we so often have some form of mini-series or side book going on. Why not just make that a consistent thing? Why not just have a consistent side book going on that you can just tell one-off stories or short stories or stories that don't necessarily need to involve Sonic? I don't know. I'm just someone who really does miss the days of Sonic Universe because I really feel the value that something like that used to bring. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Would you love to just have a consistent side Sonic book for the more minor characters? Just to have stories where maybe Knuckles could take front and center for a good while. Tails, Cream, whoever. And in terms of this issue, what was your favorite story? And would you like to have seen more of Knuckles and the Chaotix teaming up? More hapless adventures of Cream and Gemerald? Maybe a story that the Babylon Rogues are the primary focus of. You never know. So I want to hear from you in the comments, but also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thanks so much for watching and hope to see you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye.